Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now in this video I'm going to share with you my experience going from drinking a minimum of 4 large black cups of coffee for 15 years and then just quitting from one day to the next. I'm going to share with you the experience I had in the first week, which was pretty tough, exactly what happened day to day, so maybe you get encouraged to do or try the same. Now, if you're interested in trying this out yourself, I would highly recommend you check out the book called Caffeine Blues, which talks about the impact from caffeine on your body from a scientific standpoint. If you want to go and check that out, the link is in the description. It's been almost 5 months now since I took the last sip of the black drink that used to symbolize a great start on a new day. It was almost essential to get this drink in. It was almost like a ritual in order to get the day going. And I thought it would be interesting to document this journey quitting coffee because it's not really as easy as someone might think, and it's not really as hard either. So I've read a lot of stuff about this from other people and seen videos on YouTube of people quitting coffee, and they made it seem like it's like going through hell. In one way it might be, but for me the experience was a little bit different. So I'm going to tell you exactly how that went down in this video. I can honestly say without hesitation that I've been a serious caffeine addict my entire life, moving up to this point. Obviously when I quit 5 months ago, I would always start the day with a large cup of black coffee the moment I woke up. Otherwise, I would not feel awake for another 3, 4, maybe 5 hours. The entire day just felt foggy. I just needed to have that first initial caffeine boost, and that first cup of coffee, which was not a small cup by the way, that went down in 10 minutes, and then after that I went immediately on to a second large cup of coffee. And I feel like this is not something abnormal. This is actually pretty common when I asked around and saw how my friends and other people were drinking their coffee throughout the day. On average, I would say I would do maybe 4 cups per day minimum, and then maybe top it off with a cappuccino at the end of the day if I felt extra fancy. And this behavior went on for 15 years, and I really didn't think much of it. I thought it was normal, and I felt fine. So why then did I make the decision to completely stop drinking coffee or any caffeine drinks altogether if it wasn't a problem in my life? Why would I give up something that I enjoyed so much in the morning specifically if I couldn't say that it was affecting me in a bad way? And since everybody else was doing it, it can't be that bad, right? The thing is, you don't know what you don't know. If I had been drinking coffee for 15 years, I don't know how that affects me because I don't know who I am without the caffeine throughout the day, because I don't have any reference version of myself that is caffeine free to compare with. I was starting to think how dependent I was on caffeine and how I had to have the first cup of coffee in the mornings, otherwise I would be sluggish, wasn't able to focus at all, and generally agitated, not just a pleasant human being to be around. And the crazy part is that feeling of being agitated, it all went away in just a blink of an eye when you take that first sip of the black gold that was in your cup, and boom, everything felt fine again. And this was the scary part, when you realize just how big of an effect the caffeine actually has on your mood and your life and your focus and your ability to get productive and get some work done. So that was the reason why I wanted to quit coffee. I didn't know who I was without coffee. Was it really holding me back? Would it be able to make me focus better and be more productive if I just quit it? I didn't know, so I had to make sure that I know who I am without caffeine. And in order to do that, the only solution is to just quit coffee and see how that turns out, and that's exactly what I did. So after doing some research, I was ready to jump in to this challenge and quit coffee. I wasn't going to phase it out from over a week or so. I was just gonna quit from one day to the next, going from drinking 5 cups of coffee per day to 0, and see how that affected. So according to some videos that I watched online in preparation for this, it felt like I was supposed to prepare for war. Some people said that they had to call in sick for weeks to work because they were unable to work and focus without coffee. And some said that they could barely hold their eyes open for a couple of hours before they passed out from being tired and not having any energy, and that was also the result of quitting coffee. But at the same time, this made me even more excited to try it out because I love a hard challenge. It's always fun to challenge myself and see if I can make it or not, and especially since I told myself that I wasn't really addicted to coffee. So this challenge kind of, now I have to prove to other people that I really am not addicted to coffee and that I can make this work. So here's what happened the first few days after quitting coffee. Day 1, pretty intense headaches. The same kind of headaches you feel when you're dehydrated. If you've been on the beach for too long without drinking water, then at night I always get these, like almost like a thunderstorm in my head where lightning bolts go off in my head, and that's the lightning headache that I like to call it. It's not a constant headache, but it's bursts of super strong aches in your head, and that's exactly what I felt the first day. I had zero motivation to do anything, and I just started to realize just how big of an effect caffeine actually had on my well-being. Day 2 was pretty much the same, although the headaches now became even more intense, and the lightning headaches turned into a more constant type of headache throughout the day. I still didn't feel like working, and I still was pretty agitated. I just wanted to have my cup of coffee the entire day, but I made it through day 2, and I think if you make it through day 2, things get a lot easier after that. But on day 3, I started to get some muscle aches in my lower back, and these were the kind of aches that I had to look it up because I thought, is this something else? Because this doesn't seem like it could be caffeine related. But my lower back was literally felt like it was on fire, and I could not sleep because I couldn't lay down. That's how bad the pain was. And this all came from the lack of caffeine in my body, which I researched later on. So it was connected to me quitting coffee. It's one of these things that I never thought caffeine would actually have that much of an impact on my entire body, and not just giving me headaches and lack of focus. So on day 4, I still had some headaches and the back pain was still there, but everything started to tone down now, and I started to feel finally a little better. I think the worst was over after day 3. With the day 3 was kind of a crossroad where I felt like I didn't really want that much coffee, but I just want the headache and the back pain to go away. So day 4, everything kind of toned down. I was still very foggy in the mornings and very zombie-like in the mornings for a couple of weeks after quitting coffee. But that's pretty normal when you consider I don't pound a half liter of dark roast the first thing in the morning before I even open my eyes anymore. So who am I now when I've not had caffeine in 5 months? The biggest change that I've noticed is that I've always wanted to become a morning person, and I thought coffee would make that a lot easier. But the fact is, coffee actually made that a lot harder, because now when I wake up, I actually wake up and I don't snooze for an hour before I wake up. I wake up and I actually feel rested. I get up and I feel like I'm awake. I don't need coffee anymore. And coffee actually, the problem with coffee is that the more you drink, the more resistance you become to coffee or caffeine, and the more you need to drink. And every single time you drink, you get a spike and then you crash. You get a spike and crash. So those were what my days used to look like. I used to have energy for 2 hours and then totally crash and go and take a nap, and then I wake up and get another coffee and do the same wave throughout the day. And my sleep was really bad apparently, because I woke up when I was drinking coffee. I woke up and feeling sluggish. Even though I had my first coffee, you would still need to hammer down coffee throughout the day to keep that level of energy somewhat consistent. And right now the curve is like this. It's a perfect energy level curve, and that after lunch dip that everybody's so aware of, like if you go and eat lunch and then you come back and you're so tired, you just need to take a nap, especially if you're sitting at a desk job. You can't focus, it's impossible, and you go and have another coffee. That after lunch coma is totally gone. And what's surprising also is I don't want coffee. Whenever I smell coffee, I don't really feel the need to have it anymore. I do every now and then, maybe once a week at tops, I have a decaf cappuccino just because I like the taste of cappuccino. Otherwise, I have decaf tea nowadays, which works a lot better for me because there's no caffeine in there, and I still have a warm beverage to drink while I'm working. It's really interesting to think about that. I thought I really needed coffee to stay alert, to stay awake, but it turns out it's actually the complete opposite. At least it was for me. And it wasn't that hard to quit coffee. I don't think I will ever go back to coffee because I know how it's going to mess up my energy levels and focus the second I drink my first cup of coffee in such a long time. And it's just not gonna be worth it. I'm just gonna stick to my tea and keep my energy levels leveled throughout the day. What I can tell you, if you want to try this yourself, is that attitude matters. I'm telling you that it felt easier for me than I expected it to be, but that's also because I told myself before I was starting this challenge to quit coffee that it was going to be easy. Because if you tell yourself this is going to be so hard, I'm not gonna be able to make it, it's impossible, I need my coffee every single day, guess what? It's going to be a lot harder to quit if that's the attitude you go in with when you're trying something like this. So if you want to quit coffee, I hope this video was helpful to you and gives you the confidence to try it out yourself. Be prepared for some pain before you start seeing the gain. Thank you so much for watching.